Hello, my name's Ian Giblett and I'm from Airbus Group Innovations. The purpose of this short presentation is to describe what does a reference technology platform look like, how do we go about building one, and what shall we have to show for our efforts at the end of the Holodesk project. There have been many ideas about what an RTP could look like, depending on your point of view. However, in its simplest form, an RTP is simply a list of tools and services which are iOS compliant. I'll talk a bit more about what iOS means later on, but for now, just bear in mind that nobody will ever use an RTP, in the same way that no builder will ever use all of the tools in his toolbox at the same time. An RTP is used by creating an instance of it. An RTP instance is a selection of tools and services that you need to solve a particular problem. How you select these tools and services is up to you, but in Holodesk we are looking at building a platform builder which will help you identify the services and tools you need to solve your particular problem. Now you know which tools and services you need, it's just a case of installing them. But how do I know that all of the tools and services that I have chosen for my RTP instance can be used for collaboration? How do I know that they will integrate well together? And the answer is because they will all be compliant to an interoperability specification known as an IOS. The iOS, or Interoperability Specification document, describes how the tools can communicate and what they can communicate. The how part of the collaboration is the easier area to address, because for that we can use OSLC, or Open Services for Lifecycle Collaboration. OSLC is an open consortium that takes the principles that made the Internet so successful and applies them to systems engineering. That means all engineering data will be shared using RDF XML and will be made available using a RESTful interface accessible with HTTP. The what part of the integration is the trickier area to address, because as of today there are no standards defined for exchanging human factors concepts in a systems engineering approach. There is no OSLC working group, for example, to define human factors. This will be down to Holodesk to define. Note, we are not looking to define every single human factors concept, only the minimum of what is needed for successful collaboration. Warning, the iOS is not magic. Just because your tools are iOS compliant, it does not mean they will function and collaborate out of the box with other tools in your reference technology platform. It could be the case, but it is unlikely. Typically, you need to map the concepts which have been made available to you and define how you're going to use them in your particular use case. This is known as tailoring. Once two tools have been tailored to work together, they can be fed back into the RTP to enrich it, so that others, using on a use case similar to yours, can make use of it. So let's take a look at an RTP lifecycle and see what it might look like in Holodesk. First, we must start with a list of tools and services that we would wish to use in all of our use cases. The different colored dots denote the different tools in each of the domains: aerospace, automotive, the control room, and healthcare. Note, none of the tools at this stage are iOS compliant, and so therefore whilst these tools work, they are in fact operating in a silo. As partners follow their use cases, they will define their workflows and how they would like to collaborate with other tools available to them. This means developing tools and other adapters which will make their applications iOS compliant. With each iteration of the RTP, more and more connections will be made as the workflows are developed and enhanced. Note, we are not trying to link every tool with every other tool, as this doesn't make sense. By following our use cases, we can ensure that we are making connections that are useful for others in the industry. The ultimate vision is to make it much easier to enhance your workflow with more tools and services as your requirements change and you wish to develop your workflows. Suppose there's a tool in the green domain that the blue domain wishes to take use of. Because tool A of the green domain is already iOS compliant, there is only a small tailoring effort needed by the blue domain to make use of the services currently already available. By the end of Holodesk, we will have amassed a collection of tools, methodologies and concepts used for solving a multitude of human factors issues. Anybody wishing to make use of the Holodesk RTP would use the Holodesk Platform Builder. This would identify which tools and services are available to them to solve their particular problem. So, to conclude, what will we have at the end of Holodesk to show for our RTP? We will have a list of tools. This will be a list of tools built by partners in Holodesk, but also third-party tools where it makes sense for a particular use case. We will have a list of the tailored connections between those tools, and to make those tools iOS compliant, we will need software and other adapters where they do not exist already. We will also need a document of data concepts which are being exchanged for the relevant use cases, and a description of how those tools are used to solve a particular use case. A nice to have would be some sort of web page to act as a platform builder, which will allow us to filter the tools and connections based on the criteria of the human factors problem that you were trying to address. And finally, we will have a list of formalized methods for solving human factors issues where no software tools currently exist. Thanks for watching. If you have any further questions, please get in touch through the Holodesk website. Bye bye.